hours for April 9th, 2025, in case you're keeping up with us. I am Dr. Lisa. This is Coach Nayala. And we are jumping in today really, really quickly to get Coach Nyala's take on last week's topic of overcoming imposter syndrome. So, Coach asked me a question offline, and we're bringing it to the stage today.
Yes.
What is the difference
Yes.
between imposter syndrome and actually not knowing what you're talking about? And is that okay? I added that last part. Is it okay to not know what you're talking about?
Right.
So, Coach Niall, you want to give the compassion take first, or you want me to give the teacher take first?
Teachers take first, please.
All right. So, the way that I interpret the difference between imposter syndrome and not knowing what you're talking about is, can you prove you know what you know? Now,
Mm,
a lot of us who are independent, you got your head down, you're working hard, you have amassed a lot of achievements that you may not be paying attention to. And so you might be getting awards and you think your friends are just being nice to you, or you're getting thanks from your students, clients, what have you. And you're thinking, wow, these people are really, really nice. They care about me. They want me to feel good, and that's why they tell me nice things. Although
right.
you have this list of achievements that you don't acknowledge or you haven't paid attention to that they're cheering you on for. So that discomfort, that disconnect with what you've actually done and what you know and what you think you need to know for the next level, that's what I would consider imposter syndrome. You are not, every time you're presented with a new challenge, you think you're not ready because you don't see the path you've blazed behind you.
Mm,
And your people are pushing you, they're all cheering for you to do it, but you are the one that has doubt in yourself, right? Now, typically, folks who don't know what they're talking about don't care. They're not
okay.
worried about it. They're
Okay.
not worried about it. They power forward. They're like, fake it till you make it, and they're going to keep going. Now,
Okay.
it's not necessarily a bad thing to not know what you're talking about,
Okay.
unless you are claiming expertise you don't have.
Okay. All right.
Now, you
Because
can
I was
claim a title and you grow into the title. That's fine, as far as I'm concerned. But if you are claiming actual expertise and the ability to help, not even the ability to help, because you can still grow into that. Because when you're a business person, particularly, you've got to present yourself confidently. But folks who actually have the expertise don't see a reason to lie, right?
mm,
Confidence is not con artistry.
okay.
So actually not knowing what you're talking about, you either A, are confident enough to say, okay, well, I'm not sure about this, but I can get back to you with an answer,
Mm-hmm.
which is confident, authoritative, or just listen to me because I'm the expert. Usually that person doesn't have what my mother would call backative.
Okay.
So a person who is experiencing imposter syndrome doubts themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who is doesn't know what they're talking about will either clearly say that or at least leave the door open to positively leave the door open to figure it out. Someone who's a con artist is just going to say, "Shut up and tell me," and shut up and do what I say.
Mm,
So
okay.
they're not going to take any back and forth and conversation about it.
Mm,
So it takes confidence to tell people you don't know. It takes self awareness to get that confidence. So I'm team I don't know. It's okay to not know. Now, if you decide to
really?
stay, If you decide to stay not knowing,
then that's a problem.
there you go.
That is a
The-
problem. So,
yes.
all right.
Especially if you need to know. If you need to know, you don't know, and you're cool with not knowing, that's a different issue. So how do you feel about it, Coach?
I feel like, okay, to that point, I understand the difference because initially when you posed the question, it was like, how do you know what's the difference between it? But now I understand the question a little bit better in terms of you know the information, but yet you still have that feeling like you're not worthy, or you haven't gone through certain training. And
Hmm.
so there's still that self doubt, like you had mentioned, or feeling like you're not enough, or you don't have enough experience in that
Hmm.
expertise to give advice or have something of value.
Hmm.
And then actually not knowing what I did learn is, you know, the con part of it. Because you'd be willing to say, you know, I'm not sure about that, or let me research that and get back to you if you
Hmm.
don't know, versus someone that's going to power through and just go forward. Now, I am a person that I don't believe in faking it till you make it. Like, I'm transparent and telling you, hey, I've had one class in this, so this is what I know, right?
Hmm.
um, so the fake it to the make it, that's something I don't really like that term. You know, it's there are certain terms that I'm like, I don't know, but I understand the need for it. I do, in terms of growing into that
Hmm.
title, that space, that new position, because that's the direction in which you want to go, and there's like no looking back, right? So there's accountability to know that I'm going to learn, I'm going to grow, I'm going to get there and grind in that space
Hmm.
until I have the tools necessary. So that's good to understand the difference and
Hmm.
get clarity around it. So yeah, thank you for that. And imposter syndrome, I think us compassionate. So for those that may
Hmm.
not know, when we talk about the motivational gifts, I am compassionate. And I used to think I was compassionate giver, exhorter, but I'm actually
Hmm.
compassionate exhorter giver when I look back at my
Ah,
notes.
okay.
So yeah, I think
The different gifts will show up differently based on the
depending on the
situations that you're
situation
typically.
anyway. Yeah,
Hmm.
but compassionate leads and it's a feeling. So I
Hmm.
wonder if the compassionates tend to have that more of a, why is it doing the thumbs up? I wonder if it would have more of the, um if we tend to carry that feeling of not enough more than others, or do we just display it differently, or that
I would go with the second one. I think you're displaying it differently because
mm,
everyone at some point or another has some doubt, unless you're Jamaican. But that's what the other islands think of us. But the it's really because compassion is such a giving, heartfelt, heart led gift that I mean the saying "wear your heart on your sleeve" is honestly come by for compassion. And so we'll see that doubt, we'll see that insecurity when it's there a little bit easier than one of the other gifts that's a little more stone faced, for lack of a better term.
yeah,
But it's not that you're alone in that feeling, you just see it easier.
yeah, yeah. That reminds me of a time where someone I know, she had said, I was talking about my feelings, and she said, you know, when I hear you talk, do you ever think about that? You know, we have feelings too. And I said, no, I don't think because like it's like they never talk about their feelings, but that's all I led with was feelings, feelings, feelings. And so
Hmm.
I'm glad you gave that perspective that it is more of a response than
Mhm.
not the other person not having feelings because
Right.
we don't see the
Hmm.
response. So yeah. She said, do you I just wonder, do you and other people like you think that we have feelings? I said, nope, I don't, because I just don't see it. I don't see the response. I don't see the reaction. And I'm very passionate about this. Like, this is real, and you're not doing anything or saying anything. And
Hmm.
she was like, yeah, I have feelings too. I was like, let me think about that.
Let you think about your feelings about her feelings.
That part. Does she really have feelings? I don't know.
And you know that. So to that point, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about how teachers and perceivers and so on kind of have the burden of navigating the feeling relationships with compassion and serve and other more emotive gifts.
Yes.
So I'm based on her conversation. I'm thinking she might be on more the stone face side.
Yes, I would say she's more of like a receiver, admin, um, yeah, perceiver, admin, and probably teacher. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Yes.
So my challenge to compassion servers, the whole feeling side of the wheel.
Mhm.
My challenge is, can you coexist with other people's feelings without your own feelings getting in the way?
Th- That's an area I'm learning to grow into. That is an area I'm learning to grow into. And I say that because my family has been very vocal in sharing that I always make it about me. And I think that's because I feel what I feel. And so
Hmm.
they could be expressing themselves, but then I talk about what I feel. And then so, of course, mm, that is a powerful question. I
Hmm.
want to know, people in the YouTube, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Can you have conversations and it not be solely focused on you? Can you like acknowledge someone else's feelings if you're high and compassionate without talking about your feelings? And tell me how you do it. How does that work?
You know what? I'm gonna end us on that note because I also would like to know some of those answers. Based on several of my own family connections, I need to know, like, is this something that you can do? Can you work on this for the rest of us?
You just gonna have to keep telling us. That's all. You just have to keep telling us. And that's the one thing teachers hate to do, y'all. They hate repeating themselves. They done told you the formula, they done told you the route, they done told you the directions and instructions. You better write it down when they tell it to you, because that's it. But
Oh, you're gonna get a written copy. Don't misplace it, please. And on that note, bye YouTube. See you next week.
see you next week.
Okay.
Ah, that was good. That was